Yo, what's up? What's going on? What's good? This is the Boxing Source, and we are here live, and we have a discussion to have. Seems like we had some real juicy talk in the latest podcast. Of course, we dissected what happened on Saturday night when Teofimo Lopez defeated Vasyl Lomachenko by unanimous decision to win the unified lightweight titles. And so that meant that Teofimo Lopez went to 16 and 0, and Vasyl Lomachenko is now 14 and 2. That is right. He is 14 and 2. And of course, there was a lot of reaction to this particular fight. We've now seen the numbers. As far as like viewership is concerned, the highest amount of viewers was over 2.8 million for that fight between Vasyl Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. And I just think that was a very successful, telecast for ESPN and for Top Rank. So that is, like I said, that's good for them. They have, a couple of events that are, coming up down the line, including the announcement of, Terrence Crawford versus Kell Brook. That's going to be in November. So we're going to see if they're going to be able to carry that momentum into these other events that they're having there under Top Rank. But we are here to, have this discussion about Mr. Vasyl Lomachenko. And the reason why we're going to have this discussion is because we had a good back and forth. If y'all were able to catch the podcast that took place on Sunday night, the simulcast is still available here on the YouTube channel. But we kind of like went back and forth about if Vasyl Lomachenko's resume is basically up to par, because a lot of times that resume gets brought up as, maybe like a top-notch resume or a stellar resume and things like that. But there was like a few disagreements in reference to that, so that made the discussion be fairly heated within that particular podcast. So because of that, I wanted to, bring up the resume of Vasyl Lomachenko and, go about it piece by piece, since it really isn't that many fights that we could like go over it. Hopefully I could have, some people join in to the discussion, so that they could, go in, along with me. I know that there's people that are on the side of Lomachenko, and then there's people that are on the opposite side of Lomachenko, like anti-Lomachenko. So I wanted to basically get, people on, both sides of the spectrum there, so that they could, add in their commentary while, I have this, presentation that will, hopefully end up as a discussion, because it's like I was saying. I mean, Vasyl Lomachenko is, kind of like a polarizing figure in a sense. When it comes to the sport of boxing, of course, you have the extended amateur background of Vasyl Lomachenko. Of course, he is two-time Olympic gold medalist. Nearly 400 amateur fights that they say are on record. A record of 396 and 1. Before he went into the professional ranks. And, right before he had made the move to the professional ranks, he had a, kind of like a ultimatum, so to speak. Okay. He wanted to fight for a world title in his first professional fight. And I don't think that any boxing organization or sanctioning body could really do that. And even if they did, there wasn't any promotional company that would try to make that possible. Okay. But there was one particular promotional company that said, maybe we couldn't get you to fight for a world title in your first fight, but if you're able to, get the win and where we have you set up, that you will be able to compete for a world title in the second fight. And that promotional organization was Top Rank, of course. And so Vasyl Lomachenko joined Top Rank. And with that, you have the career of Vasyl Lomachenko basically jump off, right? So I wanted to, get in with this discussion and kind of like bring in the resume or the CV of Vasyl Lomachenko. So that is what I'm going to eventually pull up. So let me see if I could get that thing on here in a little bit. But before I do that, I want to see if I can add in, someone here. So I did like paste the link to join in the discussion on the YouTube channel. So you can follow that link and then, be within the discussion while I get it set up to share my screen. Hopefully I'll be able to share multiple screens on here because I wanted to, just get into, the resume of Vasyl Lomachenko here in depth. So hopefully, this thing goes well as far as like sharing the screen. I don't necessarily trust any of these web browsers or Windows or, nothing like that. But, this is, something that, I wanted to try to get into. So let's see if we could have this thing pulled up. All right. This is the first series of fights there from Vasyl Lomachenko right there. Right. So we have these 5 fights. Jose Luis Ramirez, Orlando Salido, Mr. Gary Russell Jr., Saria Tatakun, and Gamaliel Rodriguez. So that's 5 fights. And actually it's going to be 6 fights because this is the featherweight division when Vasyl Lomachenko was in the featherweight division. So this is 6 professional fights in the featherweight division. Like I said, Jose Luis Ramirez, Orlando Salido, Gary Allen Russell Jr., Saria Tatakun, Gamaliel Rodriguez, and Romulo Kowasicha. All right. Kowasicha. Right. All right. So first one, Jose Luis Ramirez with a record of 25-3-0 there. And he Vasyl Lomachenko was able to get the win here by KO in the 4th round. Hopefully, I be able to add people on here. Number one, what's going on, Mr.
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we got going on?
All right, so I'm just going over the resume of Vasyl Lomachenko here, bit by bit, piece by piece. Hopefully I could get, one other familiar person on to join in. But in the meantime, I also have a very, well-spoken person here. Hopefully he'll have his input on this. Intangible has now joined us. What's going on? I know that you're, on mute. You can unmute yourself if you want to add in something real quick.
Yeah, how's it going, guys?
What's going on in terms of boxing?
Not much. Get into this.
All right. So like I was saying, had a discussion on the podcast on Sunday about Vasyl Lomachenko, and the thing about his resume and brother World Rank was part of this podcast that was on Sunday, and there was like a little bit of a debate about Vasyl Lomachenko's resume and the people that he fought. So we wanted to, get into that there a little bit. Salute to MMA champ, the GOAT. So I wanted to get into, the resume of Vasyl Lomachenko here. First with the featherweight division, like I said, you had Jose Luis Ramirez, Orlando Salido, Gary Russell Jr., Sharia Tatakun, Kamalia Rodriguez, and Romulo Koasica before he moved up to super featherweight. So you got Jose Luis Ramirez, that was for the WBO International Featherweight title. Jose Luis Ramirez, 25-3. His latest loss was back in 2011 against Abdel Ramirez over in Mexico via unanimous decision. He had a win over Rene Ruiz, Sergio Lopez, and then a split decision win over Ray Batista. That put him in position to have that fight against Vasyl Lomachenko, because that Batista fight was for the WBO International Featherweight title. So that was his first defense against Vasyl Lomachenko at the Thomas & Mack Center in Las Vegas. He lost by KO. And if you kind of like looking at his the next couple of fights, he fought another notable guy in Alvarez, and then another notable guy in Oscar Valdez, and he got knocked out in those fights too. Then you had Mr. Gary Russell Jr. Of course, he was, they're undefeated. But before that, you had the Orlando Salido fight. Salido there with record of 41-12-2. Going into, that particular bout with Vasyl Lomachenko, he won the vacant WBO featherweight title against Orlando Cruz by KO. But that title was vacated by Mikey Garcia, as you had Orlando Salido losing to Mikey Garcia back in 2013. But he, fought a good amount of fighters there, of course, like Juan Manuel Lopez, a couple of times, Yuriorkis Gamboa, Cristobal Cruz a few times. So, he had himself a good, extensive resume there with Orlando Salido. Next up, you had, like I said, Gary Russell Jr. Gary Russell Jr. was coming in there undefeated, 24-0. Was for the what was that? At the time the WBO featherweight championship. So it was basically vacated again because of the situation with Orlando Salido. But of course, you had that. That was a majority decision win for Vasyl Lomachenko. Of course, you know about Gary Russell Jr. now is, the longtime featherweight champion. He won the championship, the WBC featherweight championship, pretty much under a year's time against Johnny Gonzalez, and has not lost since. So you have that. And then Sharia Tatakun, 51-1. That was the fight was in Macau. And man, that was that's a lot. That is a lot. I could go into his resume. His last loss was to Chris John back in 2012. But he has had a good amount of fights over in Thailand, a good amount of fights to say the least. So there's that. Then you have next Kamalia Rodriguez, 25-2-3. There was
James.
another defense. Yep.
In that Thai guy's resume, is there anybody notable that he beat or lost to other than Chris John?
He lost to Miguel Burchell.
Burchell was in 2016.
Yeah, he would go on to stop him.
Burchell stopped him.
I think he would actually put the guy on a stretcher, even, from what I remember.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, before that, other than Chris John, not necessarily that much. I can't do like multiple,
Nah, it's
multiple
just
windows
anybody
on this.
just by scanning through. Is there anybody that you recognize on that resume?
Now, other than Chris John and Burchell, no.
Okay.
All right. So who was I there next? Camalia Rodriguez. Let's see. Yeah. 25, 2-3. There was a KO there, in 2015. And let's see. He was like, who did he lose to? It was a good amount of time before he lost to David Rodella. That was back in 2009. See, or maybe Orlando Cruz is a notable guy for him that he fought. That was when he defended the NABO featherweight title. He had like a few defenses of that NABO title before going against Vasyl Lomachenko. So that was with him, and then Ramiro Koasica in the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas, 25-4, and he fought like Orlando Cruz after that, but his loss was to Lee Selby, unanimous decision back in 2014. Seeing if there was like any other notable fighters that he had before that. He lost to Isaac Torres back in 2012. That was his first 10-rounder was in 2012. He lost by unanimous decision, but he was able to have a 3-fight win streak, then lost to Jesus Galicia by majority decision in the 12-round fight for a minor featherweight title, but then got it back against Alexander Monterosa. But held it once again until he fought Lee Selby for the international featherweight title and lost by unanimous decision, and then had 4 wins before losing to Vasyl Lomachenko. So that is the featherweight resume there for Vasyl Lomachenko. Shout out to 1-2 Kid checking in there and all that. So that is his featherweight resume right there. So any thoughts on that?
It's pretty poor.
Yeah, so I didn't. So let's go back to the debate. The debate that I had was that initially what was said from the other callers were that the statement that was made was 16-2 for Lomachenko wasn't all that good, which I brought the comment of, if you look at who he fought in those 16 fights, that's pretty damn good. Then there was a conversation that came up regarding WBO. Let me put it like this. So we all know that Top Rank and Frank Warren is very, I don't know what's the right word for it, but works with the WBO real well. Most of the champions either come from generally those two promoters. So in saying that, there was an assumption that it was a WBO diet as a whole, not just a featherweight run, but as a whole. My claim was that Russell, Linares, Crolla, Rigo, Walters, Sosa, all were not particularly WBO guys that were chosen. These were fights that were made for other reasons, and they weren't mandatories or anything like that. I did concede earlier that Gary Russell fight was a WBO title fight, but it wasn't like he was handpicked. Those were kind of like at that time the two highest. I think it went to purse bid if I'm not mistaken. Those were the two highest ranked guys for that belt. So it wasn't like even at that time that Lomachenko and Russell wasn't a 50-50 fight. It wasn't like Russell was being chosen to basically get the shot for Lomachenko, and he was just under one of the WBO guys. Jason Sosa and Nicholas Walters both had a WBA title prior to Loma, and at some point, because of inactivity or politics or whatever, they were stripped of those titles before facing Loma for the WBO titles. They weren't ranked with the WBO at the time of when Loma fought them. At the time, with both of those fights were being set up as unifications with the WBA titles that which both Sosa and Walters had. But again, for whatever reason, they lost their titles because of inactivity or other stuff, which only allowed Loma to fight for the WBO belts. And all other fights that I named were similar under similar circumstances. I don't think Kroller or Linares, if they didn't have another belt, they had recently had one not associated with the WBO. So my point was that it wasn't a strictly WBO next man in line argument. That was the debate that I was having, that it wasn't just they were feeding on WBO level guys and it was just the next man up. That was pretty much my argument.
Okay. I'm going to see. Hold on. Let me see if I check. Someone else is about to join in a few. But the thing with Gary Russell Jr., that particular fight, I know that we've had multiple discussions as the situation behind that with Gary Russell himself. But when you talk about the time period of that, which was, June of 2014, you had Orlando. Remember the thing in March 2014 when he lost to Salido, with Salido being overweight and him getting a win, it made the WBO title vacant. Gary Russell Jr. and Vasyl Lomachenko were not the top two guys. There were two or three fighters ranked above Vasyl Lomachenko before the fight took place. So I don't know how that worked out. I would have to look into the archives for that. But in the WBO rankings, at least for April and May, they have Vasyl Lomachenko at number 5. And then the month of the fight, they have Vasyl Lomachenko at number 4. Gamalia Rodriguez was number 3. And Chanlatan Periapino was number 2. Man, keep running into those names. But
did it not go to purse bid though?
So I would have to look into how that became, Vasyl Lomachenko versus Gary Russell Jr. and if it if it went through purse bid with I guess Golden Boy winning that purse bid because you had Russell under Golden Boy at that particular time.
Because doesn't that mean if a fight goes to purse bid, does that mean that it's a mandatory fight?
Well, that could be that could be it, but that's my question though. How is it that they, but the thing is the title is vacant. So usually when the WBO title or any title is vacant, they usually have the top 2 contenders there to fight for the title. And if they have it ranked where there's, someone at number 1 and then someone at number 2, then the number 1 and number 2 guys would be ordered to fight for that title. If either one of them are not available, then the next person in the rankings is ordered to, come up. And then it just goes on down the line. So like I was saying with, the rankings in April and May, you had a couple of people that were, available before. So that was not much of a turnaround since, what was that, March? So in April, I'm just looking at it through the other window. In April, you had, like I said, Gary Russell Jr. number 1, Chanlatan Periapino number 2, Kamil Lasijic number 3, and Joel Brunker number 4. They might have had fights at the time, that might be the case. So I would have to like look into that.
Yeah, I can do that for you right now. Spell their names.
What's that?
Spell the names. I'll do it for you right now. I'll search. Spell out the names. I'll do the search for you.
Oh, Piripinyo. Piriyaya.
Yeah.
Pinyo. I'll have like another window here too.
Chanlatan Peripinyo, yeah?
Yeah, Chanlatan Piripinyo. Hopefully this thing.
In around April, yeah? 2014.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, so in April 2014, on the 11th of April, he had a fight, and then on the 6th of June 2014, he had a fight.
He had a fight. So
he had 2 fights. So he's out.
So in April, he had a fight that was for a Pacific title. And
yes.
Yeah, like you said, he had something in June and actually something in August too. Pretty interesting.
So who else was ranked?
And then you had in April it was Kamil Lasijic, L.A. Kamil, Kamil like Cesare Meta. And then
I know how to spell Lasijic, the Polish guy.
Yeah, Lasijic, yeah.
So I just looked up purse bids for Russell and Lomachenko, and there was a purse bid for it.
Does it say when?
It was, let me see here. Give me 1 second.
So I'll give you an answer. Lasijic fought in May that year. He was scheduled to fight Ironin, and that was for the WBF World Featherweight title.
Yeah, the vacant WBF Featherweight title. I'm trying to see, because he was like a minor title holder for the WBO. He won. It says like he won in 2013.
Yeah, he won the Intercontinental against Ayayo.
Yeah, Ayayo, and then that put him in that particular position. Then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he had the fight in December of 2013, and then February of 2014, and then was there for that fight in May 2014. Yeah, that's weird. That's why it's like weird. When was it? You know when the first bid was?
Let me just read this quote to you. It's from Ring TV. On March 20th, Paco Vasyl, the WBO. I know he works with the WBO.
Yeah, he's WBO president.
Yeah, granted Golden Boy and Top Rank, who promoted Russell and Lomachenko, a period of 30 days to make the bout. This is on March 20th.
Okay. All right, March 20th.
So it says that.
Wow.
So it says as a. Hold on, give me 1 second. Russell was declared by Paco in October. Again, I'm assuming of the previous year to be the WBO's mandatory for belt holder Orlando Salido. The ruling did not preclude Salido from making a voluntary defense against Lomachenko, which he did. As a result of Salido's failure to make weight, the title became vacant. Through Lomachenko was eligible to win had he been victorious. So essentially Russell was the mandatory to Salido, and because essentially Lomachenko fought Salido and Salido didn't make weight, they allowed Lomachenko to fight for the belt again.
Yeah.
So Russell was the mandatory, and because I guess
the thing is, but with him being a mandatory, if they had ordered it in October 2013, it's still, like 12 months before that mandatory basically has to be fulfilled. So Salido still had the option to wait a minute. He's had the option to
make a voluntary.
Make a voluntary, but
the Lomachenko fight was the voluntary.
Because he had won. He had won it back in October 2013 against Orlando Cruz because it was already vacant. So maybe. So I don't want to get stuck because something's not right, but I don't know.
Because he did a voluntary with Lomachenko.
Right, he did the voluntary with Lomachenko. Yes.
Right, so that means if he had whoever won that fight still had their mandate next, essentially.
Yes, which was gonna be Gary.
Right.
So whoever won it would have to fight against Gary because he was the mandatory.
Right.
Because Loma lost, and it was in, I guess, what they called at the time controversial circumstances, all the low blows and the review of the committee, they gave Lomachenko another chance at the title against the mandatory challenger. Instead of just automatically upgrading Russell, they probably felt Loma did good enough in the fight to be considered of championship status, and Salido lost.
Or because Salido didn't make weight.
Yeah,
I think
because
because he didn't make weight, and they felt like Lomachenko may have been at a disadvantage because of the weight.
Yes,
they essentially just gave him the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting there. Wyatt Simmons on here with us. What's going on?
What's good with y'all? What's the topic?
All right, we're going through Vasyl Lomachenko's resume. We're here at the featherweight division. We kind of went in depth about the details between the fight between Salido and Lomachenko, and then Lomachenko against Gary Russell Jr. So
Lomachenko has a smoke and mirrors type of resume where it seems like it's better than what it is. Now, it's not bad, but it seems like better than what it is till you actually start dissecting it. And then you realize that he was put in a lot of advantageous positions.
Okay. Hopefully Mark is able to get back on here. But we were talking about this situation with between Orlando's Salido fight and the Gary Russell Jr. fight, right? So I was trying to find out how was it that Lomachenko was able to fight Gary Russell Jr. for that WBO belt when it was vacated. So the situation is, and Mark was on, but he kind of came off, that when Salido had won the belt because it was vacated by Mikey Garcia. So he lost to Mikey Garcia. And Garcia basically, I think he moved up before he got locked out. So he moved up, so the belt became vacant again. And with it becoming vacant again, Salido was able to fight Orlando Cruz for the belt, and he got the win. And then after he got the win, he was able to fight Vasyl Lomachenko. And the situation that has been explained earlier was that with Orlando Salido being overweight coming into the fight, and with Salido ended up winning that bout, that they vacated the WBO title altogether, and that the WBO president Paco Bacastro kind of awarded Vasyl Lomachenko another shot at the world title against the mandatory contender, which was Gary Russell Jr. So even though there were fighters that were ranked above Vasyl Lomachenko in the WBO rankings, the WBO decided that, hey, since you had this situation with Orlando Salido, we'll give you another shot to fight for the world title against Gary Russell Jr. So that's how that came up.
Okay, so basically what you're telling me is this, right? A fighter gets a title shot in his second professional fight, loses, and then gets another title shot in his third professional fight over veterans with multiple fights and multiple wins in the division. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what it shows. Because what I was saying.
Can I counter that though? Can I counter that?
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna counter that by saying, yes, that happened. But let me ask you two questions. The first question is, if I fought you for a title, I gave you an opportunity to fight me for a title, and I came in overweight, and you lost to me, do you think you should get another shot at that title?
No.
Okay. Second question is, the WBO guys that are under him are not guys that you know, and also are not guys that would have been a better fighter than Lomachenko. So why shouldn't he get the opportunity to rewrite that wrong if he was under the pressure that it wasn't a fair fight? You didn't make the weight. Go ahead.
All right, let me ask you this, right? You must be a Lomachenko fan.
Absolutely not.
No, he's
absolutely not.
He's Mr. Give me my credit. about as unbiased as you could possibly be.
All right, so I'm gonna hit you with this, right? I want you to imagine being a great college football player, being a great college basketball player, and then automatically being anointed as the best player in the league coming out, or getting granted MVP considerations when you haven't done anything to deserve it, but based off of what you did in college, they gave you the consideration. Would that be asinine?
No, it's
in
not.
Any other sport?
No,
I said any other sport would it be asinine.
It would not. It would be LeBron James.
LeBron James.
He had done nothing.
LeBron James didn't even make the All-Star team his rookie year.
He should have though.
Did he make it?
He was snubbed out. No, you gotta look at it fairly though. You gotta look at it fairly.
I said, did he make it?
But you're not looking at it fairly.
I asked you a question. It's a simple question.
No, he did not make it.
Okay, so and then I'm going to follow that up with Vasyl Lomachenko got a title shot in his second fight based off of what he did in the professionals or what he did in the amateurs.
What he did in the amateurs.
And do you think that's fair?
LeBron James got picked first because of what he did in high school.
That's a draft.
If you meet
that's a draft. That's a draft.
No, we said you made an analogy with any other sport, and I gave you the person for that analogy.
No.
Now you're moving the goalpost.
Whoa, no. You gotta recognize the differences between a draft being all NBA, all defense, being an MVP. Two different scenarios. But I'm asking you, is it fair for fighters to work their entire lives, get to the professionals, go up in the rankings, and a dude in his second fight, he had one professional fight, granted a title shot based off of what he did in the amateurs? Yes or no? Is that fair?
Yes.
Well, it's actually occurred before, even without the opportunities of having a great amateur career. In fact, the other person who won a title in 3 fights was a person by the name of, he was a Thai fighter, and Tommy Hearns fought him. I can't remember his name for the life of me for some reason, but he got a title shot in his third fight, even without that amateur program. Sometimes, yes, luck does have to fall your way.
That's not luck. That's corruption. It's not luck.
Now, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. But it's fair because he made that business plan. He told Bob Arum, if you don't give me a fight with the championship in 1 fight, I will not sign with you. Bob Arum said, no, I can't get you that, but I'll promise you that in 2 fights.
Can I ask you a question? Yes. What is Bob? We talking about what's fair. We ain't talking about what boxing really is. We talking about what's fair. What does Bob Arum, a promoter, have to do with the ranking systems of sanctioning bodies?
Sansak Mangshrin is his name.
I said earlier that Bob Arum and Frank Warren worked specifically with the WBO.
We got him a title shot because he's one of the greatest amateurs ever.
Oh my goodness. Vasyl Lomachenko, his amateur career was as stellar as it possibly could be. So you know what? I gave him the chance to fight for a world title, not on his first fight, but on his second fight.
What bothers me about this is that those same fans will talk about how corrupt Oscar is, how corrupt the WBC is, how corrupt Al Heyman is, Eddie, but then be cool with that happy. That they're cool with that
because he produced though. That's
he lost. He didn't produce. He lost.
He produced. Yes, he lost that fight, but he still produced.
Fuck.
He still produced.
I'm sorry, JR, for cursing.
No, it don't matter. I gotta add in Mr. NBO in this conversation that he's been listening in for a few minutes. He had to get the charge up ready. He's been waiting for this moment too. He's, like I said, he was part of the conversation on Sunday. So Mr. Matt, you are now joining in the conversation.
I just love that Vasyl Lomachenko has officially used the Manny Pacquiao excuse, and his shoulder is hurting. His career has been smoke and mirrors. I've said that to world ranks. He is a product of the WBO pipeline. Okay, from 2013 all the way up until what was it, the Linares fight? He fought exclusively for the WBO.
I just told you why he did that. Several of those fights were supposed to be unifications, but for one reason or another, the WBA stripped both Nicholas Walters and Jason Sosa of their WBA titles, which means those fights would have been unifications.
But
no, Nicholas Walters fought at super featherweight, and Nicholas Walters was a champion at featherweight when he beat Donaire.
Right, he was a champion at featherweight when he fought Donaire, and he fought Lomachenko at 130. He fought Lomachenko at 130 or 126?
130.
130.
Okay, so I reclassed my statement. I'm wrong on this. I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, because after he beat Donaire, he missed weight in his next fight.
Yeah, he got
for the featherweight title. So even though he won, he didn't retain the featherweight title. And then after that, he moved up to fight Jason Sosa.
Okay, so I can see that point.
Funny thing about Lomachenko, and here's my real theory and what I get at when I say the WBO pipeline. It's not a coincidence that Lomachenko has looked ordinary and less than ordinary once he stopped fighting exclusively for the WBO. What is it the WBO doesn't have that the WBA and the WBC do have, JR?
The WBO, well, for a good amount of years, you know who couldn't really be in the WBO, right?
Who?
Fighters from a certain promotional organization.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Here's what I'm getting at.
Go ahead.
The WBO does not have a comprehensive year-round drug testing program. The WBO does no drug testing at all. They rely on the local commission that is having the fight to do a post-fight test. So is it a coincidence that Lomachenko has fallen off once he has become subject to year-round VADA testing?
No, it could be just that
you didn't say that he fought better before this.
And he moved up in weight. That's crazy. Pacquiao was dominant coming up. Once you get to a certain level, you're not stopping people. The people that you fight not getting better. It's not. Oh, he's testing something, and now all of a sudden he's fighting for WBA and now or WBC, and now all of a sudden he's no good. Come on, what are we talking about?
So you're telling me it's a coincidence?
I'm telling you that the level he stepped up in levels of opposition. Yes, I'm saying that it's. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so let's do the thing here with that super featherweight title joint. Roman, Rocky Martinez, Nicholas Walters, Jason Sosa, Miguel Mariaga, and then Guillermo Rigondeaux.
That sounds a lot better than the 126 run. And then once you get from 130, 135, those names are going to sound even better than the 130 names. I don't understand how we don't see that the names are getting better. There's better fighters, and he's moving up in weight.
Jason Sosa. Hold on, I was going into the thing here with Rocky Martinez. Of course, he had those two fights. One of those classic fights against Orlando Salido. He did lose to Mikey Garcia, got knocked out in 2013. Had to win against Diego Magdaleno, so he did have that. He did lose to Ricky Burns, but he had a few good fights at super featherweight. Ricky Burns, Miguel Beltran Jr., Juan Carlos Bugaros, and Diego Magdaleno before the Mikey Garcia fight, and then the two Salido fights.
The same Burgos that fought Haney recently. And the fight when he fought Martinez was like 5 or 7, like almost a decade ago, probably.
That was 2013. Yeah, a decade ago, though. It seems like a decade, huh?
Yeah, Haney fought Burgos, what, in 2019, 2018?
Oh, man, it was 2018. It wasn't 2019 because 19, he fought Antonio Moran, and then he had the fight against Zara Abdullayev.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because that was at both of them joints. So it was 2018. You know, so yeah, that was the thing with Burgos fought. Hold on, real quick. Burgos fought Mikey Garcia, Devin Haney, Rocky Martinez, veteran Cristobal Cruz. Yeah, that was pretty good tail end of his career.
It's funny because when you look at people's resume,
then you got that, and then Nicholas Walters. Like I've said that whole situation with Nicholas Walters, but you know, like I said, he had the weight issues after the Donaire fight. So after his first defense, he went up to fight Jason Sosa, and yeah, there were a lot of issues, you know, from that Mariaga fight on for Nicholas Walters. So that's why I said like that particular situation, I didn't like it. Because his contract situation kind of like like he had Aaron had put him on ice, I guess, because of what happened with the Mariaga fight. So once he had been in the ring there against Vasyl Lomachenko, it was like, man, forget it. You know, that was it. And then so then after that, he does fight Jason Sosa, and you know, we kind of like went through, you know, that background of Jason Sosa. So after that, Miguel Mariaga. So all of these guys like fought each other. Miguel Mariaga, I think, what's his last fight? Previous fight was against Oscar Valdez. So yeah, lost from Nicholas Walters, had 5 wins, and then fought Oscar Valdez and lost pretty much a clear decision to Oscar Valdez before fighting Vasyl Lomachenko there. So that's the situation in that fight. And then Guillermo Rigondeaux, and we seen what happened with that. You know, they tried to make that fight. Then the fight before that, Moises Flores. They said it was a knockout, and the referee ruled it a knockout. And then they reversed the decision. Of course, we know about who is it? No, I can't say that. I can't say that on the video. Somebody else said with what Jim Lampley said. Oh, he fouled the guy. He shouldn't deserve to be this and be that. He fouled him. I was like, man, peace, Red Glove. So after that, they had to move up 2 divisions. So you had the fight with two top gold medalists, and we saw how that fight turned out. Really sloppy, and Rigondeaux, you know, ends up being retired after round 6. So that is the super featherweight run right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, have at it.
I want to cite one thing that the WBO. Part of the reason I would assume that he went for WBO belts is because it's very easy to move up and get a WBO belt after winning one, because you have the choice to call for a title shot in a mandatory position after you move up after holding a title in a division.
Tell that to Zerdo Ramirez. Tell that to Zerdo Ramirez. Let's stop it here. It's
Ramirez is about to
of the promoter.
Are we gonna be honest, bro? I don't know your name, but come on, be honest, man. Well, it's easy to move up in the WBO if you're with Top Rank, man. Just call it like it is.
Exactly. Kosar Tanaka, the WBO flyweight champion, literally signed up and is getting a mandatory position at Kazuto Ioka just because he held that. And
can I tell you a secret? None of the organizations care about the really lower weight classes because there's no money in it. They don't mind following rules with those weight classes. Nobody cares.
Isn't Zerto a top rank?
But look at his situation.
A contract dispute with Top Rank, and suddenly he was no longer the mandatory after he moved up in weight after being champion for so long. So it's because of the promoter.
My main point was that I never disagreed that the WBO and Top Rank and Frank Warren is exclusively WBO. That was not my point.
What Bob orders? World Bob Organization. Everybody knows it. It's not.
I don't disagree with that. That's not my point. My point is that the opposition was high. That's all I said. The opposition is high. I never said nothing about not being WBO, not being with Top Rank.
What would you say his best? What would you say Lomachenko's best win is?
Best win?
Yeah.
Gary Russell.
Okay. We agree with that. What do you think the Rigondeaux, do you vote that high?
I only voted high because people on this call picked Rigo. If they did not pick Rigo, I would not qualify that as a good win per se.
And you vote Linares high as well, right?
Fairly high. I don't know. It's a B plus level win. That's how I would see it.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like he got a little bit too much fanfare for that win, for stopping a guy that had been stopped 3 times previously. But what do I know?
But again, we got to keep in context of the weight, because Lomachenko ain't really knocking nobody out at lightweight. So to be able to do that, there should be some type of credit for that, because he didn't knock out. Yeah, it's like go ahead.
You're still knocking out a guy. I said, regardless, you're still knocking out a guy that's been knocked out 3 times. It's not foreign to him. It's not foreign to Jorge Linares to being knocked out. So
how many times Tory Noah's got knocked out? A lot of times. Quite a few times. So we can't, he's still a great fighter despite being knocked out. So we can't.
Yeah, but do you still rate it super high when you knock out a guy who's been knocked out a bunch of times?
Yes, because if you're a good fighter and you got a questionable chin, you're still a good fighter.
Okay, so you give props to Terrence Crawford for stopping Amir Khan, right?
Absolutely not.
Whoa! What?
Amir Khan is a natural 140, and nah.
Well,
but I get your point though. I get your point. But Khan chin is much worse than Linares chin.
All right, hold on.
Much worse.
That's objective. They both been knocked out a bunch of times, right?
Khan's been knocked out by lesser guys.
Hey, going into the point that Matt was talking about with the thing with the WBO, and I'll point it to super featherweight. When he had the WBO super featherweight title in 2016, I'll go through the champions that were there: Francisco Vargas, Jose Pedraza, and Jezreel Corrales, at least at that particular time. So Pedraza, wasn't Pedraza with another organization though at that time?
Didn't he fight Pedraza?
He fought Pedraza, but that was like later.
Yeah, but he washed him though. So it ain't like Pedraza was gonna be better at 130.
You think he washed him? I wouldn't call it washing.
He washed Pedraza.
No, Tank washed Pedraza.
So we saying that Loma got washed by T.O., but
no, he didn't get washed by T.O. Who said that?
And somebody on this call who said that.
No, he didn't get washed by T.O. That's wild. He wilding. He just didn't do shit in the first
you hear that?
6 rounds.
That's the exact term I used yesterday. You wilding.
Nah, he ain't get washed. Don't do that. Don't tell. Come on, dude. Don't tell that lie. He ain't get washed.
Tell the truth, son. Tell the truth, son.
You gotta check the podcast. It's available now on YouTube.
As soon as he started punching back, as soon as he started, as soon as he decided to be offensive, he was landing at will.
Well, someone on here really disagrees with that. But like I was saying though, and the thing with super featherweight, this person says it's interesting that at least in 2016 when you had those other champions out there that they said that he didn't necessarily unify. Let's see, 2017 he fought Jason Sosa. That's April 2017. Let's see. I'm just checking to see if they were the same champs around that time. So yeah, I'll go back April 2017 real quick. Yeah, I'm just looking at this thing here, super featherweight. Miguel Burchell had the title there. Tank.
Lomachenko turned down the Burchell fight, by the way. I just want to point that out. WBC
2017.
Does turning down a fight mean that you lose though? That you automatically gonna lose? I don't get why people say because you turned down a fight that means if any fighter turns down a fight that it exclusively means that they're gonna lose.
Why did he want to fight Burchell?
I can't answer to that, but it doesn't exclusively mean he's gonna lose. People turn down fights all the time for different reasons.
He turned down Burchell to fight who?
I mean, like you said, I mean, you had the fight against Jason Sosa. Then after that, it was Miguel Mariaga.
Wait. He turned down Burchell to fight Sosa?
Probably not Sosa. Oh. Well, maybe, but I don't know what the time period was. Okay. Mr. FBO could tell when the time period was.
He turned down Burchell to move up in weight.
Okay, so then that's after the Guillermo Rigondeaux fight.
Yes.
And then he fought Linares. Nah, you can't. I won't. Nah, you can't call it that. Jorge Linares and Burchell. Nah, I can't call that a duck.
I'm not calling anything a duck. Sir. I'm just saying that Lomachenko was able to duck consistent drug testing for the first 5 years of his career. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's where the whole rumor report thing goes. So, all right. So now, real quick, going into the thing: Jorge Linares, Jose Pedraza, Anthony $1 Million Crawler, Luke Campbell, Teofimo Lopez. All right. Of course, we had a discussion about Linares. We know about Pedraza. He fought, lost to Tank, got knocked out by Tank. Then he won the WBO title. And then in his first defense of that WBO title, he fights Vasyl Lomachenko. Find that interesting. So you mean to tell me that you moved up and passed on unifying at super featherweight, but after you win the world title at lightweight, the next fight you unify against a guy that had just won the belt, WBO title.
Yeah, why would he fight a highly ranked reigning champion when he can pick and choose who he wants to fight? That's all it is.
You know what's funny?
And mirrors.
Had he lost to Teofimo, had he beat Teofimo Lopez, y'all would be making that same claim that why is he fighting Teo? But because he won,
absolutely not. I've been calling for Lopez versus Lomachenko for 2 years, and JR could vouch for that. I knew this was happening.
Hey, yo, can I say something to help your point, Matt? Are we going to sit here and just completely dismiss Matt and the whole PED thing when, let's be honest, he's from Eastern Europe and that country has been occupied or has close ties with Russia. And we already know PEDs with Russia. Are we going to completely dismiss that as a possibility?
Nah, we're not gonna completely dismiss it, but we ain't gonna completely like agree with it. Like it's guaranteed.
No, I ain't going. I don't know if it's guaranteed, but to say that an Eastern European
so we get into
fighter.
We get into talk of all Eastern Europeans are taking.
No, I said you didn't even let me finish. I said, so are we going to act like that Eastern Europe and Russia do not have a history of ped use? Isn't Russia banned from the Olympics?
Yeah.
Yep.
So this isn't me trying to create the narrative. The narrative's been there. So I'm just saying we can't completely dismiss riding with it, but I can't dismiss it as, oh, well, that's just, Matt and his opinion is based. It's based off of his.
It's not based on fact of the individual. So we can.
Not fact on it. Not based on fact of the individual, but the pipeline.
Let me say something real quick. I remember when Manny Pacquiao lost to Jeff Horn, and he was supposed to have a rematch, and Jeff Horn said he wanted to do body testing for the rematch because there was no drug testing, WBO. And then Manny Pacquiao pulled out of the fight. I remember a lot of people roasting Manny Pacquiao, saying, "Oh, he must be scared of a PED test," So why is that any different from Lomachenko suddenly not being Superman anymore once he stopped being part of the WBO pipeline?
Because he was never Superman. If you go watch the Gary Russell fight, it ain't like he knocked over Gary Russell.
Whoa.
Any good fighter he fought.
That's not what I've been hearing for the last 5 years. I've been hearing that this guy was top pound for pound since he walked in the sport.
Yeah. Yo.
A lot of people on a pound for pound list got losses. Canelo got washed. I've never seen nobody a pound for pound number one get washed 12-0. He's still pound for pound. So you can't take that. Doesn't mean that Loma's not pound for pound top. He might not be.
Lomachenko came in. Lomachenko came into the game and was lauded as pound for pound.
By who?
By the boxing mainstream media.
Man, who cares about that though? That's what I'm trying to say.
That's what we're talking about, though. I'm not talking about.
Here's the thing:
Lomachenko, the actual boxer, versus Lomachenko, where he was placed at in the sport of boxing by the powers that be. That's the only thing I'm talking about. I think Lomachenko's a good fighter. I just don't think Lomachenko was the best fighter in the world, like everybody said. I didn't even have him top 3 on my pound for pound.
Okay. There's one person on here that had a Twitter handle named Boxing is a Business. And when you have someone like a Vasyl Lomachenko, and to go with Matt's point, if the boxing media boosts up Vasyl Lomachenko as this once-in-a-lifetime fighter without even having one professional fight or the few professional fights that he has, then what that means is that the boxing public that's looking at these articles are saying, oh, this Vasyl Lomachenko guy, even though I might not have seen him, or follow them in the amateurs, if they're putting this amount of praise behind Vasyl Lomachenko, I have to see this guy or I have to watch this guy. And if he's doing what he's doing, then
question.
Yeah.
What was Floyd Mayweather's amateur record?
Ooh, it's fairly good.
But
it was around 90-6, something like
so you
that.
Don't know it. What was Manny Pacquiao's amateur record?
I don't know that.
Without Googling, what was Mike Tyson's amateur record? Lennox Lewis.
I can only give estimates, to be honest.
Evander Holyfield. So let me ask you a question. Why the fuck do we all know Vasyl Lomachenko's amateur record by heart? Because this is what they did to prop this man up right away. We didn't know nobody amateur record.
I didn't know his amateur record, so I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know his amateur record now. So I don't know where everybody know that amateur record at. I'm pretty sure you might know, or somebody, maybe two people on this call. Not everybody on this call knows his amateur record, because I don't.
Mostly everybody.
Oh, he won 2 gold medals.
You heard about. He's 396-1, and his one loss he avenged. Vasyl Lomachenko. This was the carnival barking that we heard right when he got into the game.
Hey, didn't they do that with Earl Spence too?
No,
I don't know. They put him on national TV for his first fight. They put him on national TV for his first fight. So it's not like they.
I don't know Earl Spence's amateur record.
And I don't know Loma's amateur record.
I don't.
And I've never.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know Earl Spence's amateur record either.
But they propped up his Olympia pedigree on his first fight on national TV.
I'm talking about amateur record. Of course,
yeah, they say he was
someone's an Olympian or a medalist, something like that. I'm talking about the actual amateur record.
I can't speak.
Hey, Matt, do you know what Deontay Wilder's amateur record is?
84-6.
Okay, but you're the president of the Deontay Wilder.
Listen, I can tell you how many pounds and ounces Deontay Wilder weighed at birth. That's different. When it comes to me and Deontay Wilder, I'm Shannon Sharp and he's LeBron James.
So you say he the GOAT?
Yes. He's definitely the GOAT.
He the GOAT. But yeah, the whole thing about the record and doing all this, but you know what? I feel like Vasyl Lomachenko might not have been the only one where they kind of tried to promote his amateur record.
Golovkin.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Yep. That's it. So it was like Lomachenko was like the second person where they kind of went behind the amateur pedigree or the amateur background before he was able to, have his first fight or have his first few fights or whatever it is. So with that being said, that gets the interest that they want to have eyes towards those particular fighters. And so, yeah, if he performs, that's on him. If he's able to back it up, that's good. But you have to be able to at least have something behind you, or at least some type of, history behind like who you're fighting. And this kind of like resume dissection is like saying like, hey, okay, these are the guys that he's fighting, but what is the situation behind those particular fights? That's why I, brought up this particular video, was because I wanted to go down piece by piece the situation behind these fights.
Oh, so the fight don't happen inside the ring; it happens outside the ring. Because that's what y'all telling me. It don't. What happens in the ring doesn't matter. What happens outside the ring.
But what happened in the ring didn't marry up with what we were hearing outside the ring. When Lomachenko went to the UK to fight Campbell, and Barry Hearn was asked about Lomachenko after the fight, and he said, "Oh, he's a good fighter, but I was expecting more from all the stories that I heard. He's not that elite level that everybody was talking about." And everybody in Europe called Barry Hearn a hater. They called him a hater. But
Matt,
he was absolutely right.
Take down this moment that's about to happen. So, are you telling me that Barry Hearn essentially said the line, "He's all right, but he's not real"?
Exactly.
Man.
I'm gonna post the video after. He was like, he's good. He's a very good fighter, but from the legend of Lomachenko is bigger than what he's actually done. there are people who truly believe that if Lomachenko retired today, he's a Hall of Famer. Get the fuck out of here.
You tripping. That man is a Hall of Fame. What are you talking about?
How is he a Hall of Famer?
He's going to go in the
Hall of Fame. Stop it, man.
He's going to go in the Hall of Fame based on the International Boxing Hall of Fame standards.
Come on, man. We got Arturo Gatti in the Hall of Fame. Come on, man.
But also, it depends on what a ballot looks like. I mean, next year, what is the ballot actually going to look like? I mean,
well, hopefully it doesn't look like this year's ballot, because my goodness, that ballot,
it's pretty good. But we're not going to see anything really like that unless Pacquiao retires around the same time. But even then, who else are you going to have on there? You're going to have maybe Calderon. Who else are you going to have? Maybe Sung Kill Moon. Like, if that's Loma's best competition, he's going in.
Exactly.
Calderon had a better career than Lomachenko, by the way.
What?
Still, though, he's a strawweight. He's a strawweight in the light flyweight. They're going to put Loma in above him.
Can anybody name one Alvin Calderon opponent other than Matt? Can anybody else name one Alvin Calderon?
Hugo Cazares, Alex Sanchez, Alberto Rosell.
If any of them going in the Hall of Fame? Or any of them even close to the Hall of Fame?
I mean, I'm just naming off his opponents, but the fact that he's a strawweight means they're probably going to put Loma in anyways, because he tapped into the mainstream much more than Calderon did.
Loma,
and that's a huge factor. That's a huge factor right there, because
he beat another Hall of Famer. Come on now, he beat another Hall of Famer. He's going to get in. If you beat another Hall of Famer, you getting in.
What Hall of Famer Lomachenko beat?
Rigo.
I don't think Rigo's going to get in.
Oh my goodness, bro.
On a very weak ballot, he could. Like, on a really, really weak ballot, he could.
Rigo's not going to get in because he's not loved by the boxing media. What are we talking about? The Hall of Fame is voted on by the Boxing Writers Association of America. These are the guys who vote on this stuff. The only reason Lomachenko is going to make it to the Hall of Fame is because these jackasses have to justify the myth and the legend that they have been telling since 2013. That's the only reason why.
You beat more world champions than you beat regular fighters. You beat
Lomachenko does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. If you look at his resume, it is not Hall of Fame. Let me ask you a question.
What?
Who has had a better career? Lomachenko or Adrian Broner?
Lomachenko.
Adrian
Broner. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Adrian Broner.
He arguably lost to Paulie Malignaggi. Arguably lost that. Come on.
No. Don't go that. Adrian Broner only beat 5 world champions in his career to Lomachenko's 8.
Adrian Broner has won belts in 4 weight classes.
Who he beat for those belts?
But Loma was a ring champion.
Okay, if you're gonna add,
he lost the Ponce de Leon fight. Come on, man.
Now you want to ask who somebody beat.
I've always been on resume. I've always been on resume. That's all I talk about is who they beat. That's all I talk about.
And you think Lomachenko's resume deserves to be in the Hall of Fame already?
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll just agree to disagree.
Is there any way we can post this on social media and get a vote? Because I guarantee you, everybody's going to vote Loma's.
Of course, because Adrian Broner, that's my point.
But these are fans. I'm saying to fans.
Does not get the love, man.
Shout out to Michael Shows, says Lomachenko is very unique in his movement. That's all they gassed over. They just said that he's a great fighter, but they just went overboard having him rated above Crawford.
What? His resume is better than Crawford. Come on, man.
I understand having him above Crawford, but having him number 1 pound for pound, I don't understand. Never really did. If you actually, here's the thing with Loma. I've always thought Loma was a great fighter. I probably think a little bit more highly of him than most valid opinion, but I mean, I never thought he was pound for pound number 1. He was put there after the Rigo fight, a guy moving up 2 weight classes. I think Crawford did deserve to be above him at that point. Also, having him above Canelo is questionable. Yeah,
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I wish we could have polled everybody before this TO fight where they put Loma in there pound for pound.
I personally had him number 3. Behind Naya.
On my pound for pound list. Let me pull up my pound for pound real quick.
Let me break this down. I gotta take notes of Matt.
Well, you know who's at number 1.
This was before the Lomachenko fight with Lopez. All right. Number 10, I got Tanaka. Number 9, I got Inoue. Number 8, I got Fury. Number 7, I got Pacquiao. Number 6, I got Beterbiev. Number 5, I got Usyk. Number 4, I had Lomachenko. Number 3, I had Crawford. Number 2, I have Errol Spence. And number 1, I have Canelo.
Who you had at 5 again?
Usyk.
Yep. There you go. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I would like have Loma around 5 or 6.
I would have had him.
Claim that I'm a Lomachenko hater. They claim that I'm a hater because I don't have him number 1. Because he's not number 1.
I think Inoue should.
Someone explain to me what Monster Inoue has done to deserve him to get a pound for pound rating. I don't. Maybe I haven't watched a bunch of his fights, which is true.
I'll break it down for you. 3-weight world champion, moved up 2 weight classes from 108 to 115, knocked out a guy. He was an underdog against Omar Narvaez, beat the number 2 rated light flyweight in the world by consensus, Adrian Hernandez, to pick up his first belt, who defeated Gilberto Cabas for his belt and also defeated Surian Santorn. He also beat Jamie McDonald for a WBA regular title, which is amazing. But before he actually became a titleist, he defeated future unified champion Ryoshi Taguchi, who even before then beat Yu Kimura, a future world champion. And also, Ryoshi Taguchi would go on to beat Alberto Rosell and Milan Malindo for titles, and eventually go on to fight guys like Heki Butler and Tanaka. And then Inoue would also go on to unify.
He beat Taguchi in only his 4th fight.
Yes.
Now, I will correct you. He was not an underdog in the Navarez fight. I bet that fight he was not an underdog.
Thought he was.
He was a huge favorite. He
was opening as an underdog.
Yeah. Okay.
Nah, there's no way he opened as an underdog. No way. He was never an underdog in the Navarez fight. I'll bet any amount of money he was never an underdog in the Navarez fight. Never.
Interesting, because he moved up 2 divisions for that.
Navarez, right? He moved up 2 divisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't an underdog. He definitely was not an underdog.
So everyone else would agree that he's a pound for pound fighter.
Inoue moved up 2 weight classes.
Listen, Inoue is pound for pound, but to me, he's on the back half. I already see people, but because here's the thing, they don't want to give the American black fighters the credit they deserve. So there's already a push to put Inoue top 3 pound for pound, which he is not.
Some people got him
top 3.
Some people got him number 1, but I will say this: it's hard, and I have a debate with people about his resume compared to others. It's hard to rate the smaller divisions because they get much more chances because there's not enough people at the weight. So, to be fair, it's hard to judge his my conversation. My conversation was, how do you compare Tanaka to Gary Russell? You get what I'm saying? Or Omar Narvaez to Gary Russell. Like, it's hard.
Damn it.
It's hard to compare his resume to everybody else. That's why I can't rate him that high, because those guys like Gang and Lopez getting 5 title shots in like 6 fights, like it's hard to kind of gauge, how good those guys is because the division isn't so deep.
Oh,
that's a fact.
Man. So you call him a top pound for pound world rank?
He's in a pound for pound, but he's not my top. He's not even in my top.
So you say
I got him at 4.
Oh, damn! Hold on.
Number 4.
I'm gonna have something here in a bit, but this thing is it's not as clear as I wanted to be, but I'm sure that y'all will remember this moment when I share it. So I'm gonna have it up here in a little bit, but I'm sure that y'all remember this. I am sure that y'all remember this. Let me see. Hopefully it could come up here big enough though. That's my thing. So I'm trying to get it posted, shared, blow it up or whatever it is. But first I'll stop this screen and then hopefully this will come up here in a bit. So let's see if it comes up. And remember this, if y'all could see it, remember when Teddy Atlas had his top 5 pound for pound?
Cuban.
And,
yeah, there you go.
And he had Lomachenko above Ward and Terrence Crawford at the time.
Think about how ridiculous that is.
So there's that.
Loma being above Rung Vasai at the time was ridiculous.
Oh, I forgot that.
Rung Vasai should have been above Loma even after the Rigo fight.
How about when Chocolatito was up there? Before Rung Vasai beat him?
He should have been number 1 in my opinion.
Oh no. You can't give a guy
should have been number 1?
You can't give him for one fight. For one fight? That means you had Roman number 1.
Yes.
Oh man, that's
yes, Andy would have been above Loma, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt.
What was it? He flyweight title because he had the minimum. Of course, he had the minimum weight title, light flyweight, flyweight.
He beat Yutaka Nita, moved up, had fights against Katsunari Takayama at the weight class, moved up, beat Estrada. Estrada went on to become a unified champion in his very next fight. Then beat Yagashi, traveling overseas to go fight him. And then moved up and fought Brian Valoria, Edgar Sosa, not Herman Unmark. Also fought Williams Arroyo, beat Carlos Cuadras in a close fight.
Listen, I respect it, but I don't give a fuck about these weight classes. And that's the problem. And I agree with World Ranked on that. Everyone's lauding these little dudes when the real hitters are in the upper weight classes. To me, the real pound for pound begins around welterweight. Okay.
I'd argue Estrada is like eons more skilled than Spence, to be honest. But that's
when you say
whatever.
Skilled, listen, I don't care about that. See, here's the thing. It looks good because they're fighting dudes that's like the size of my 9-year-old son. This is why it looks good. But when you get when you get to these real fighters, you can't tell me that a win over Sean Porter is not bigger than a win over Juan Carlos Estrada. Okay,
Francisco Estrada.
And that's my point. I can't differentiate. It's just hard to do like what level Estrada is compared to Porter in terms of it's very difficult to just go ahead and say because Roman's winning that he's better, that Estrada is better than Porter. Like
if that's the case, then just put Joshua number 1 pound for pound, since he fought a bunch of guys who look much bigger than Porter.
No, it's not the same analogy because if you look at 108 or 105, you may have 5 to 10 good fighters. When you go to welterweight, you got maybe like 30. And it's not, it's the deftness of the division is not the same. It's just not.
Estrada's at 115. There's a lot of great fighters at 115. There's probably more elite fighters at 115 than there is at 147.
That's not true. It's 4 good fighters at 115. After that, it's crap.
Oh no.
After the top 4 at 115, it is total a shit show at 115. After you name the big, the TV, you name Roman, you name Estrada, you name Quadras, you name Maloney, guys like that. Then after that, there's nobody to name.
Okay, well, I'll go through them. I'll go through more than 4 right now. Rung Visai, Estrada, Ancajas, Chocolatito, Tanaka, now that he's moved up, Ioka. Kazuto Ioka is a name you forgot. He's a 4-division world champion.
Yeah, and he's
and then you got Maloney, and then you got who else? Oh yeah, you got Francisco Rodriguez.
Trash. That's not even comparable to that's not comparable to, let's say, Jamal James. He's not even comparable to Jamal James.
Who has Jamal James beaten?
He just beat
he beat Thomas Delorme, a guy who's an actual 140-pounder. And Carlos Quadras beat Rung Visai.
No, I didn't say Quadras. I said Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, I mean, look, he beat a former world champion in Novoa recently, even though he's way past it. He was a former unified champion. Also had fights against Moises Fuentes and people like that. A guy who destroyed Ivan Calderon.
So my point that I was making earlier, my point that I was making earlier is, how the fuck are we rating these guys so high when, like, I'm not trying to intangible. I'm not trying to take away from people's skill level, because obviously in those weight classes you have a lot of skilled people. But I just really don't see how we can say a guy like Inoue is a top pound for pound fighter in comparison to the body of work, in comparison to, let's say, even Terrence Crawford, whose resume isn't that great. Like, it's just tough for me to say and see that, because the crop of fighters it's difficult. Go ahead.
So would you ask this question if you bring it up Terrence Crawford? Like, say for example, his win over Yuriorkis Gamboa, would it be better than pretty much any win that Inoue would have right now?
No.
Fuck no.
No.
I say yeah. Here's the thing about Inoue. Inoue never fought his rival, okay? And I'm big on that. So Inoue was set up to fight Sariskaset Saw Rungvisai, and he decided to move up and into the WBSS instead. Okay? And I think that his performance in the WBSS, while he won, he got his shit rocked versus Donaire. He got his eyes ruined now, by the way. He got his shit rocked versus Donaire, and now he's walking around with the Margarito eye. Okay? So how good is he really?
Okay. Well, Crawford hasn't fought his rival yet in Spence, and he also got his shit rocked by Kavalauskas and dropped.
Hold on. To say Crawford has it for his rival, you have to remember Gamboa was the big fight for Crawford.
That's the big fight for Crawford, a guy who never won a title above 126.
Crawford was undisputed at 140. So he fought all his rivals at 140 because he was undisputed. Now we're looking for him to fight his rival again at 147. So to me, there's a big difference in body of work. Because if we're just talking about belt collecting, nobody's collected belts as good as Crawford because he collected them all in one division. Okay, so if we want to give credit, he beat this champion. He beat it. Well, Crawford had all the belts. So at the end of the day, to me, when you're undisputed, you have to be in the top 5 conversation at all times until you take some L's.
That's fine, but I think his work sense has been a bit too underwhelming. But I don't think he and Inoue are that far off.
On resume, they are. I really think very low of Crawford's resume. I got.
All right, let me ask y'all a question. If we're talking about resume, why isn't Jermell Charlo top 5 pound for pound?
Because I don't really rate the Rosario win because I thought he was gonna wash him.
But he was unified champion.
I said that from the get. Because we go back to the belts mean something. I thought he was gonna wash Rosario. I actually thought he should have got the decision against Harrison. His resume to me is top 10 worthy, but it's not top 5 worthy. Because I don't think much of Rosario. Me personally, I don't. I think the J-Rock one was fluke.
I mean, I rate Jamel's resume. I rate it.
But why isn't he in the conversation? What has Lomachenko done that's better than Jermell Charlo's resume?
Well, he was a 3-belt unified champion like Charlo.
Say that again?
He was a 3-belt unified champion like Charlo. If you just want to look.
But I thought we were wondering about who they beat.
Who they beat?
Him and Loma to me are comparable. Because Loma's low top 10 pound for pound, and Maul is or Mel. Which one is it? Maul or Mel?
Jamel.
Yeah,
Jamel is the unified.
That's super welterweight.
I have them around the same area, within that like 10 to 15 region at this point.
Nope, not anymore. Sorry. Listen, first of all, Lomachenko's out of the top 10. I just want to point.
I just said that he's in my 10 to 15 region.
Jermell Charlo, to me, I don't think pound for pound list is legitimate if Jermell Charlo's not in your top 10.
That's a fair point. I think that's a fair point. But I have
earned it.
Yeah.
As our American fighters always have to do, they have to earn it and keep earning it before they're crowned. For some reason, when you come from the Soviet bloc or you come from another country, you don't have to earn it before you're lauded.
That's a fair point. I won't debate that.
Jermell Charlo, and we'll go from that Demetrius Hopkins fight. So you had Hopkins, Gabe Rosado, then you head up to the Baines Martirosyan fight, Joachim Alcin, John Jackson, Hadley, then Erickson Lubin, Austin Trout, Tony Harrison, Jorge Cota, Tony Harrison again, and then Jason Rosario.
That is strong. That's a very strong resume. Very strong resume.
It is.
But you know what? I don't think that division gets as much love as it should.
And it should, because they're actually fighting each other, which is what people claim they want. The best to fight the best. Well, it's been going on at 154 for years. But I guess.
Oh, man. Yeah, come on. Hurd, Williams, Harrison, Charlo, Banana Man, Rosario, Lara, Castano, all of those guys.
Nathan Gallimore was in there for a little bit too.
Yeah, Gallimore too. Yep. All of them pretty much fighting each other. Austin Trout. Shoot, look at Austin Trout's resume at 154. Man.
Hey, Trout fought everybody.
Yeah. To me, Trout is like the Sean Porter of 154.
Yep. And to me, and Sean Porter was basically another version of Shane Mosley to me at 147.
Yeah.
Outside of Lara, Trout's been competitive in pretty much every fight he's been in that he's lost.
Yep.
If he would have beat Canelo, I think he would have had a strong case for Hall of Fame. I think if we did got that decision, his resume it would have been a strong case for.
Yeah, because he already had Cotto.
Yep, he already had Cotto, but like he said in the first time he was on the podcast, he was like, "Yo, if he would have got that decision against Canelo, maybe he would have been there under consideration for the Mayweather fight because he would have been unified champ at super welterweight." So, but we all know what was up. So, but yeah, that was a great Trout had one of those great resumes, man. But yeah, back to this thing here, man. I ain't even hear from the strongest man in the world, or the world's strongest man. He's been on mute.
And who might that be? Who might that be?
The man that at one time was pumping about 500 pounds while he was on the live video.
No, man, I'm just enjoying the banter going back and forth. Just I mean, Lomachenko. I mean, put like this. We know certain fighters are hyped up by network, by promotional firm. We've seen that with Golovkin. We've seen that to a degree with Lomachenko. Despite the fact, I mean, we know he has a great amateur career. We know that, but from that point, you come into the pro ranks and you fighting for a world title right away, which to me is bullshit. But all in all, it was kind of justified because he does have a solid list. But like we said on Twitter today, he is nowhere near a great fighter in regards to Muhammad Ali, Mayweather. No. That he is nowhere near that discussion like we said on Twitter. But he's a solid fighter. But one thing aside from that, we really haven't heard from Loma since his loss. And where does he go next? Because does he fight for the? I don't know. I don't know. Does he go down? Does he go back up? Does he stay at 135? I don't know. But bottom line, he's a great fighter for this era right now. But legacy wise, no. And same thing with Crawford. I mean, I'm glad that he's fighting. What's my man name from England? Kell Brook. It's a good solid fight, but it just sucks so bad that we can't get him to fight someone else that in the top figurehead of 147. It just sucks. And like you said a couple years ago, James, you said this 2 years ago. If you were the fighter, you go to your promoter and you make the demands and you make it happen. And that he just hasn't done that, which just disappoints us even more. So it's crazy, man, crazy.
Yeah, someone on here was supposed to write an article or something like that would have been called "The Curious Case of Terrence Crawford," but we haven't necessarily seen that as of yet. But maybe it'll come at a later time. But yeah, Crawford, he gonna have to come through pretty soon, man. We'll see what happens in 2021. But I don't know about Terrence Crawford. But yeah, Lomachenko, like I was saying in the podcast, he was going to move down regardless of the result. So he was going to be at 130 pounds. And I gave a couple of scenarios for him at 130. But I guess since we had that situation at 130, his first go around, I guess it's not in the cards for him to go after a certain fighter the second go around. So maybe he'll wait for, I guess, the winner of Jamel Herring versus Carl Frampton, even though there's someone else that wants the winner of that fight too. So that's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Can I ask y'all a question? So is Lomachenko's resume better than Triple G's? I say yes. And also, do y'all think Triple G is a Hall of Famer?
I can't answer that question.
That's an easy question. The first part you said, is this resume better than Triple G's? That's a hell motherfucking yeah. Because we look at Triple G. When he's back with HBO, they were once again promoting him, trying to make him the biggest thing ever since sliced bread. We know that. And at that point, he was on the verge of tying Hopkins' title defense at middleweight. And look who did he have fought? No one. Willie Monroe Jr. No disrespect to Willie Monroe Jr. because he's been.
Yeah, you can't do that, man. I'm trying to get.
We respect Willie. we respect Willie, but he's not an A-level fighter. We know that, but we respect him. But Triple G had a laundry list of regular Joes that he fought, right? And that's why so many were so happy when he finally lost. I forgot who he lost to on that before he broke the title defense record. But
it was Canelo.
Despite that, yeah. But Lomachenko's record, even at within 16 fights, is definitely better than Triple G's, which is crazy.
Yeah, but what about in the that second question? I'm like, look, man, like I said, I can't answer that question, man. Y'all, listen, I don't care if I'm a media member or whatever. Y'all know what my MO is. Y'all know what my nickname is. So I can't even go into it.
No, get this. We respect the fact that you are a great contributor within the media in terms of boxing, but sometimes your personal opinion has to come out. I mean, I know how you feel about Triple G, but answer the question. Answer it straight this time. Answer straight.
Like I said, the resume for Lomachenko is better. And
I got Triple G's resume over Lomachenko.
What? Oh man.
I can't do it.
A draw versus Canelo is better than anything Lomachenko has done.
All right, go further than that.
Danny Jacobs was an excellent win. Danny Jacobs was definitely top 2 or 3 in the division. I'd say top 2 in the division. I'd say the Derevyachenko win was a good win. And to me, that's better than anything Lomachenko's done.
Damn. That's bad, man. Dang.
Is Gary Russell the equivalent of either Derevchenko or Jacobs?
At the time that they fought, I would say no.
No, that's a fair answer. But
if you look at the time that they fought, Gary Russell himself was unproven.
That's a fair.
Right. So, that's something there. So, my thing with Daniel Jacobs is, I think he was like at least, top 3, definitely top 5, because you had at that particular time, you had Jacobs, you had Canelo, you had Golovkin, you had Billy Joe Saunders. And that was pretty much who they kind of like labeled as the top middleweights at that particular time. So,
hey, you know what's funny? David Lemieux is probably Billy Joe Saunders' best win.
Yeah.
And we don't even care that Golovkin beat him.
But that shows the thing about Billy Joe Saunders and his resume. I mean, other than what the Lee fight, I guess. But that's bad. That's bad for Billy Joe Saunders. And that would be looked at as his best win. See, if he didn't have that nasal spray and he would have fought Demetrius Andrade, man, he'd probably be higher up, I guess.
And also, if we're giving credit to Lomachenko for beating Rigo, I guess we're gonna give Golovkin credit for beating Kell Brook.
No, because the public opinion wasn't the same though.
Hold on. So if we're gonna give Lomachenko the credit for being Rigondeaux, then I guess you would give Golovkin the credit for beating Kell Brook, and then I guess you would give Canelo the credit for beating Amir Khan, right?
Oh, absolutely. He sent Amir Khan to hell. You're talking to the wrong person. He sent Amir Khan to hell.
Hell no. You got to go by if they not gonna be competitive, and you know that before the fight, it's not the same.
Well, I give Errol Spence a lot of credit for beating Mikey Garcia.
I don't.
I don't.
I do.
Mikey Garcia was top 10 pound for pound consensus. He was probably like top 6 or 7 pound for pound consensus. And Errol Spence was able to shut him out with no problem. And what makes that Spence win better is that you can't even say it's because he was a lot bigger than Mikey Garcia, because Mikey Garcia went on to beat Jesse Vargas. And previously, Mikey Garcia beat Sergey Lipinets at 140 and Adrian Broner. So to me, the Spence win over Mikey Garcia is highly underrated.
Yeah, he beat Broner at 140, Lipinets at 140.
And he knocked Lipinets down, by the way.
Yep.
I mean, Lipinets and Spence, there's a couple of levels between the two. Like, it's not like apples to apples now.
Yeah, but according to people, the reason why Spence won was just because of his size. And I don't believe that to be true. I feel that Spence is more skilled than Mikey Garcia, and he showed it.
Do you think that Loma only beat Rigo because of his size?
It's a good question. Let me ask you a question. In Rigo's career, first of all, where's Rigo fighting at right now?
118?
118. He fought Lomachenko at 130. He's never been that high before, and he's never been that high since. And now he's a full 12 pounds away. So you make the call. It's not like he was hurt at all.
No, I mean, I look at it as what the opinion was, the consensus before the fight. That's why I don't give Mikey Garcia credit. I mean, Spence credit, because I'm of the opinion most people thought that Spence was going to win, and it wasn't going to be like a close fight. I don't know if y'all agree with that, but the consensus was that Spence was going to beat
pretty
Garcia.
much.
Yeah. I don't think the consensus for Rigo and Loma was the same. I don't think the consensus was that he was going to wash Rigo like he did.
I think the Spence victory over Mikey Garcia is better, just because Mikey Garcia was at least a champion in only one weight class below that, and since the Spence fight, he's fought top 10 to 15 welterweight and beat him. I don't think
he might fight another top 10 to 15 welterweight later on down the line.
Exactly.
At least in 2021.
Yeah. So to me, the better Mikey Garcia does at welterweight, the better that Spence win looks every single time.
That's a fair point.
Yep. True. So, man, it's been about almost 2 hours, going into this conversation. But I want to bring a close to this here, man, because got to get prepared for a certain trip, a specific trip. So I gotta get prepared for all that and get some rest. Thanks to everybody for coming on to the show and pitching in on this discussion. This will be shared multiple times to keep the conversation going. And I guess, what was that poll again? Was it Lomachenko and Broner? That was it?
It
Let's
was
do Lomachenko versus Broner and Lomachenko versus Golovkin.
All right. Resumes of Lomachenko and Broner.
We already know everyone's going to vote for Lomachenko over Broner because Broner is not as well loved as other people. But Gennady Golovkin,
y'all know I beat him.
Y'all know I beat that boy.
By the demographic,
y'all know I beat that boy. Well, shout out to all the hood out there. The whole hood. I'll post up those polls there for those two resumes to see what the public will think about it. But in the meantime, I'll bring a close to this. Thanks for everyone for jumping in on this conversation. We might do another one, I guess, with another resume of some fighter, but I'll figure it out maybe sometime next week. And once that happens, then I'll make sure that people know about it. But of course, y'all got the fights that are coming up here in the next couple of weeks. You have a card here on the 24th that's coming up, and then as you see with one of the avatars there, October 31st. So shout out to the Iceman. He will be in action on October 24th. Malik Hawkins against Subriel Matias. That'll be part of that card. Yeah, like I said, October 31st. Cavante Tank Davis, Leo Santa Cruz. They're on pay-per-view. I was just thinking about something about the thing with pay-per-view too, because Matt and I have been going back and forth about a certain person that wants to talk a little spicy about pay-per-views and criticizing pay-per-views and comparing it to what happened last weekend. So, yeah, they kind of talked a little spicy, and they're on a slippery slope to say the least. So, I will be on the lookout. I won't go to the level of Tank. I'll tell you that. I definitely won't go to the level of Tank when it comes to that. But I'm gonna keep an eye on them. I'll just say that. So in the meantime, I'll catch y'all later. Thank y'all once again for joining this conversation. I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.
Later.